Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I hope you're doing well. You're all very welcome. Lots to talk about this morning. Paul Pogba, again, not in a news story, in what's coming out of his mouth. He's done an interview with, I think, MUTV, so we'll be talking about that. But I just want to get in straight away and say the reason the title is about Paul Pogba today and it's not about Jadon Sancho confirms move to Manchester United like many people think is because as much as I like a good story, I'm not leading with Sancho's coming to United because he took a sip of water. For anybody who didn't see last night, Jadon Sancho was doing an Instagram live story for a long, long time, and he had a bottle of water. And I counted, he had well over 50 sips of water. But he just so happened to take a sip of water when one of the comments said, "Sip the water if you're coming to Manchester United." Now, it may have been banter. It may have just been coincidence, but it certainly doesn't mean he's coming to Manchester United. And I like the banter, I like the joke, but I would refrain from being the United fan who thinks we're signing Jadon Sancho because he took a sip of water, because that would be twat alert. That would be prat alert. That would be the sort of thing certain Arsenal fans would do. We're Manchester United. We've got a history. We've got a great football club. We don't need to think a player is going to sign because he's had a sip of water. We're better than that. Anyway, jokes aside, let's get into what we've got to talk about. And we're going to start off with Paul Pogba today. Paul Pogba's transfer plan. Now, this is good. This is good. This is good news today because Pogba has done an interview on the United podcast. I believe it comes out tonight, but they have leaked some stuff out of it. And what he's basically said is this. He said that when my mother always told me you will go somewhere but come back in relation to Manchester United. She always said this. We will see, but you know mothers and the things she said you'll come back. When I came back, I was really happy to come back. I left and didn't finish. I started something, but I didn't finish it. I just went somewhere else. Obviously, coming back to where I started was for me why I was really happy. Now I was ready to come as a confirmed player and not a youth player. So Pogba's basically opening up to the fact that he felt that, you know, there was that opportunity to come back to Manchester United made him very, very happy. Now, what it doesn't add in is what we all want to be added in is I'm back where I want to be and this is where I'm going to stay. That final sentence makes that Pogba interview mediocre, I would say, to extremely excellent. So an extra from Bill and Ted, because you know, this is an MUTV podcast that was done before the lockdown. It was done a month ago. So look, I look forward to what he's going to say later, and hopefully there might be something there about his long-term future, but I doubt it. I think this is an interview about why he came to Manchester United, which, with all due respect, is a number of years ago now. Why he came back, why he was happy to come back, the vision he was coming back to, that's all great. But it's 2020 now, and you're still linked to Real Madrid. And this happened, you did this interview a month ago. Will he give us what we've been waiting for a long time from Pogba, which is, I'm here to stay, this is where I'm going to be? Because, and I doubt it ultimately. I think what you're getting from this interview is Paul Pogba talking about everything that's important to him apart from what his future is going to be. I just don't think he's going to do that on an MUTV interview. I really don't. So I think talking about his transfer plan when he came back and being happy about it, that's great. But ultimately, unfortunately, as we've seen with Pogba, his future plans seem to come through Raiola or his brother. He won't publicly say it. And I love Paul Pogba. I love Pogba to stay. And I actually think Pogba will be forced to stay. I think he'll have to stay. And I think he will stay. And I think that will be beneficial for Manchester United. And I've got to say that, to me, that'll make me happy. But what would make me really happy is if Paul Pogba just came out and said, I want to stay at Manchester United. I'm part of these plans, which I don't think is actually what he wants deep down. So also, I think that with Pogba, we've seen this happen many a time. There's been so many opportunities for Paul Pogba to come out publicly and say, I'm here to stay. Remember against Pep Guardiola a couple of years ago, the night before the Manchester derby, that Pep saying I was offered Pogba in January. Pogba just said shh after the game. He never came out and said that's a load of nonsense. So Pogba is reluctant for whatever reason to ever fully commit to United. And I don't know why that is. It might be a bartering position. I don't know. But I don't expect anything coming from Pogba in relation to I'm going to stay at United, although we might be pleasantly surprised. Oh, Jadon, breathe if you're coming to United. It's happening. Some people are so fickle, says Josh Sutton. And Mark, thank you for not falling for a sip of water. United fans are thirstier than Sancho, apparently, says South Lookpoor Love Sports. Yeah, I mean, look, if you the Jadon Sancho thing. If you've fallen for that, you're very desperate. And I understand why some United. Look, if you joined a little bit late, Jadon Sancho did a live stream yesterday. There was a question on the thing. There's loads of questions. Even I put some questions in, and he won't. I've done Instagram lives. You don't see half the questions. There's a question there saying, there's a comment there saying, sip the water if you come into United, and he just so happens to take a sip of water. If we are going to take that as headline, Sancho's coming to United, not one part of me wanted to do that today or discuss that. So there you go. Hold on a minute. We might have a problem with the internet because I think I moved to something new yesterday. Let me just have a look. Show available networks. Oh, no, we're on the right one. That's okay. Water bottle was being confirmed, says Spider-One. So, yeah, look, Pogba. I mean, look, it's not every day you get an interview with Paul Pogba, but it is for MUTV, which is Propaganda United, of course, because it's owned by United. You are never going to get anybody go on MUTV, ex-player or current player, and say anything worthwhile. You're not. I redress that comment. You will get people going on that and talking about great things that have happened about United, great visions for the future, but you're never going to get a United player sat down on a United podcast going, you know what? Realistically, the football's been crap. I'm not so sure about the vision. I don't really like Ed Woodward. I'd like to leave. I mean, it made for great TV and they'd get the most views they've ever had, but it would never go out on MUTV. So I'm not expecting anything like that. Afterthought, didn't fall for it. Just some banter, says Josh Sutton. A little bit of something going on in the live comments. And how many signings away from a title challenge, says Isham Punde. Watch the video from last night, mate. Don't really need to repeat content. Brilliant video last night with Saeed and with Ricky. I really enjoyed it. Put a smile on my face after I felt a bit low yesterday, so it was great, absolutely brilliant. Athletic, let's talk about them. They're talking about Grealish, saying that he is now the priority for Manchester United. They will not be drawn into a bidding war for James Maddison. Manchester United, Ed Wood would feel that James Maddison is too expensive. Thank you, Sam. Welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Really appreciate that. They feel that James Maddison's too expensive and they're going after Grealish. I think on transfers, and to sort of answer the questions that we always seem to get about how many transfers we're going to have, I'm personally, and you can answer yes or no in the live comments. What would you be happy if we just bought Jadon Sancho this summer? And for me, it's a big fat yes. I look at what's going on in the world, and I'm not talking about the horrific things that are going on in the world because we see it all the time. I'm talking about football. We don't know whether this season's going to get finished. We don't know when next season's going to start. We don't know what the transfer window is going to look like. So I'm not going to be greedy in a time where there's far more important things to be concerned about. But football's important, and I would be very happy with just Jadon Sancho. I'd be very, very happy if we get Jadon Sancho and Grealish. I'd be very, very, very happy if we get Jadon Sancho, Grealish and Timo Werner. But actually, if we just get Sancho, I'm happy. But I do believe United are looking at Grealish. And this article from The Athletic, it's a bit like going ABC. It's pretty obvious that they're dot to dot. They're putting the dots together. It's not inside information and it's not breaking news. What they're basically saying is what's been said on this channel and many other outlets for weeks. Well, I've said it. I don't know whether other outlets have said it. And I'm not taking a gold star here. But what I'm saying is, how can Manchester United sign James Maddison when we bought Harry Maguire for 80 million off them less than 12 months ago? And Harry Maguire is a centre-back. The law of football says that centre-backs don't go for more than an attacking midfielder if they're of the equivalent ability. If Southampton had a centre-attacking midfielder at the same time as Van Dijk, who's as good as Van Dijk, if you paid 75 million for Van Dijk, Liverpool are going to have to pay 100 million for the centre attacking midfielder. It's all right if it's Van Dijk and he's the best centre back in the world, you're going to pay that. But Maguire, Maddison, there's not a lot of difference between the two, really. In fact, Maddison's a few years younger with a bigger potential curve. So Leicester aren't going to sell Maddison for anything less than 80 million. Grealish, straight away, you could get him for as low as 50. So I never felt United were in for Maddison. I always preferred Maddison, but not by a lot. And I think the common sense approach, and I don't really like United's business approach to transfers, but on this one, I would agree the Grealish deal is the better one to do because it'll be an easier deal to do. It'll be a cheaper deal to do. And the differential between Maddison and Grealish, you could argue that Grealish is a better player. So it's not breaking news from Athletic, but it just verifies what a lot of us have been talking about, that United really can't afford to waste time on James Maddison when Leicester are going to want silly money. And I expect Maddison to sign this new contract very soon. Maddison wants to come to United, but a lot of players want to come to Manchester United. The reality is sometimes you can't get your move. And on a lesser extent, Maddison's probably got the problem that Pogba's got, that Neymar's got, that Harry Kane's got. They're in a golden cage. They want to move, but their value is too big for anybody to take them. Mark, you're a lockdown saviour. Love from India, says Sarinka Garamella. Thank you very much. And Sagor Kapoor, Mark, do you really think... Sorry, let me go back to that one. I'll find that one in a minute. Josh Sutton would be happy with Sancho and Grealish and maybe another CM. Only a few first teamers. No more squad signings, please, says Josh Sutton. I think that's an intelligent point, Josh, and I think we do need to start trimming down the squad. It is quite a really it is a very big squad, of course, and we need to be looking at that. Cameron Lane, 100% Sancho. The lad is class and only going to get better. Players like this don't become available every window. Interestingly, talking about Harry Kane, as somebody was talking about there last night. Obviously, we had a video about Harry Kane yesterday. Last night there was a story, I think, from Sky Sports that Spurs have got no intention of selling Harry Kane. Not bothered. Not really bothered. I'm not. It's not. As I said, I mean, Harry Kane for 90 million, maybe, but Harry Kane for 180 million, no, thank you. Gary Neville's been speaking about Harry Kane and says that he fits in with the sort of signings that United have done of the past, where they've bought in a Rio Ferdinand or a Wayne Rooney or those sort of players. But that's a long time ago, Gary. You're right. I remember United signing Rooney and Ferdinand, great British talents English talents, in fact, coming through, spending big money on them. Yeah, we have done that, but we haven't done it for a long time in relation to an English talent like that. And you look, people are going to say, what about Harry Maguire? What about Wan-Bissaka? And yeah, they were massive money, but there's a difference in the modern market. 80 million is not 150 million. Ferdinand and Rooney would be 150 million if we bought them today. So there's a big difference between 80 million for Harry Maguire and 50 for Wan-Bissaka, although it is a lot of money. But I disagree with Gary on this. I don't see United signing Harry Kane. I don't see him being a priority for Manchester United. And I'd be somewhat appalled if United were considering to sign Harry Kane, because it would show me that all this so-called progression we've had in our transfer activity, that we've regressed back to the mistakes of the past. Harry Kane is not the right signing for United. He's way too expensive. He's too injury prone. And there are better players you can get for a third of the price. So, look, I like Harry Kane. I said it yesterday. I think he's a very good player, but he's not the best player for us. Believe Goldbridge, Law of Football is published on station 9¾ Okay. And goddamn Neymar for inflating the transfer market, says Mervyn P. Also, let me just talk to you about Chris Smalling for a moment. It's not Chris Smalling. Smash a like on the video. Roma are very, very happy with what Chris Smalling has done at Manchester at Roma, funnily enough. And they really want to sign him, but the financial package is a problem for Roma. And this is unfortunate for Chris Smalling, because I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, because a lot of people probably don't watch Serie A and you just hear he's doing well, but you don't see he's doing well. If Chris Smalling had gone on loan to Everton, a bit like Dean Henderson's gone on loan to Sheffield United, a lot more of you would be saying, wow, Smalling's been great this season. But out of sight, out of mind, we just get the reports, all those people who watch Roma. He's been brilliant. He's been one of the best centre-backs in Serie A. And this is the place where people say, sign Koulibaly, sign Skriniar. Yet Smalling's been one of the best centre-backs there in a team that's not actually as good as a Napoli or an Inter Milan. So he's done really, really well, but Roma can't afford the package. I don't think there'll be any shortage of people looking to get Chris Smalling, but I do wonder whether it'll be a loan and whether United can offload him as a financial deal. We'll have to wait and see on that. But he's certainly been deserving of a move, and he's had a really good season. So do I see Spider-Man says Serie A is a poor league. I think you're having a laugh there, mate. It's not the Premier League. I agree with you on that, but it's not a poor league, and it's never been a poor league. We're not, it's not the French league or the Dutch league. It's I would say that Serie A is probably the third or fourth best league in the world. So it's not a poor league by any means. If you want to get your Bruno t-shirts, I'm wearing the red one today. The link is in the video description. I had the black one on yesterday. I haven't got the navy blue one yet, but red, Bruno, Portuguese Magnifico, Trident, a cross with the BF18. Links in the video description. It ships worldwide. You can get it wherever you want. Treat yourself. It's nicer weather these days as well. Fair enough. we have fallen behind, but we are united and very much still a powerhouse in world football, says Mr. and Mrs. And is Pogba believing, says Pranav. So for those who've joined us a little bit late, there is an interview coming out from Paul Pogba this afternoon through Manchester United MUTV podcast. The little leak that they've given reveals Pogba's sort of transfer plan to come back to Manchester United when we sold him. So this is not about what his future plan is, unfortunately. This is about what his plan was when he came back. He was very happy to come back. He left as a youth player. He came back as a first-team player, unfinished business. His plan was to come back. And has he achieved what he wanted to achieve? I suppose that's the question mark. But the whole, will he say what his future is going to be? Look, there's a chance he might do. I mean, the full interview comes out tonight, but I can't imagine Paul Pogba sat there on an MUTV podcast saying, I'm here to stay. He might. He definitely won't say he's going to leave because that they just wouldn't air it. But I expect Paul Pogba to be here next season anyway. So maybe this interview can actually be a marketing tool in the sense that people will watch it and like him who don't like him. And I think that could be a positive. But let's not forget, this interview was before the lockdown. He was still injured at the time. So you're going to get a very... I would imagine Pogba's going to sit there, talk about how much he loves United, talk about how frustrated he's been that he's injured, talk about getting back playing, but not commit beyond the next few months. I don't think he's going to say, I'm looking forward to winning trophies at Manchester United. Well, he might say that because we could still win a trophy in the last 9 games of the season or 2. But I don't think you'll hear him saying, I want to win the league or the Champions League. I hope we do, but I don't think we will. Love the channel, Mark, from Mark and Brian in New Zealand, says Mark Perelas. Thank you very much. And do you think we should buy Alaba, says Sakin Dev Prasad? It's not something I've been looking at, to be honest. Sancho toasted his move here with a sip of water. It's on, boys. He's coming, says Marmadil. Look, I do think Sancho will come to United, but I don't think we should be reading anything into a sip of water. If I'm honest with you, I don't see that being a relevant point at all at this moment in time. I think that we're better than that. We're better than that. I mean, look, this is a lad who is on lockdown, who is not playing football, who is basically just... I mean, I watched a bit of it while I was in the bath, actually, and Sancho's doing his Insta story, just listening to his sort of music, people sending in music, not really talking about football. He's interested in his music, sipping water. And of course, most of the comments are talking about Chelsea and football and that, and a comment goes past saying, sip the water if you come into United. He's focusing on his music and having a sip of water. It's just, he's thirsty. I mean, at the end of the day, headline, Jadon Sancho doing something that keeps him alive, drinking water, means he's coming to United. Now, of course, that's extreme, but he's rehydrating in a hot room, and that does not mean he's coming to Manchester United. And I would more go with people like Fabrizio Romano, who has been constantly asked about this and said, look, there's every chance it could happen, but at the moment it's not going to happen until we get back to a situation where football can come back. And just on that, it's Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK, which actually doesn't make a lot of difference. I don't know whether it must be Bank Holiday in a lot of places because it's Easter weekend, actually. But where we are with football at the moment is that we're nearly into the middle of April. And I think April's gone very quick. I seem to be stuck in March forever. And then April came along and you thought April's going to be a really long month. Well, we're halfway through April already. We've not hit the peak of the curve in the UK yet. I've heard that Spain are looking to open up and release bits of the lockdown. I don't know whether that's true or not. Germany have kept a lid on deaths comparable to France and Italy and Spain and the UK. I'm wondering... I know the Premier League and English football will be driven by the government, but I actually have always said this. I think the league that gets football back first will put a lot of pressure onto other leagues. Not directly. If Bundesliga is back by the end of May, the Premier League will want to be back. They will. And Bundesliga is not going to say you've got to come back. But what I'm saying is we'll all be watching German football because we'll be craving football. The Premier League is going to want a piece of that pie. It's just the way the world works. So I still think we're going to see football in June, but I wouldn't put any money on it because it'd be immoral to bet on that when people are dying. But, you know, we're a football channel. We're talking about football. I think we will see football back, Premier League football back in June. But it doesn't mean that we won't. It doesn't mean that we won't see it back at all. But that's just how I feel about it at the moment. But it changes all the time. Man United will win the Europa League, says Arshad Hassan, and UEFA Super Cup this year. Following in my FIFA career mode, Footsteps then. If you've not been watching that, very exciting stream today, about 2:00. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. First game is the second leg against Bayern Munich. I'm in season 2, first stage of the knockout games. Lost an absolute shithouse of a game last night in my title challenge, but, you know, it is what it is. Michael Jones says people's health is more important than football. Well, I think that's probably one of the most obvious statements I've ever read, Michael, but it's also one of the most sanctimonious because that's your opinion. It's like Clive Tilsley said, football is the most important of the most unimportant things at the moment. But like, football's like, you can't look. I think those sort of comments don't help people, to be honest, Michael. I really don't, because you're stating something that's obvious. Do you really think there is somebody out there saying, I don't care about the thousands of people who are dying, get football back? Nobody's saying that. I've not heard anybody say that. What we're talking about here is getting the things back we love for the well-being and mental strength of the human race. And also the fact that when we know we get that back, this evil will have been suppressed, because you can't have football in this current world that we live in at the moment. So I find that sort of comment ridiculous, because it's such an obvious statement to make, and nobody wants football at the moment. But people want football back because they know when it comes back, this evil will have been suppressed. So it's like looking forward to Christmas, isn't it? In October, you know, you're looking forward to that great time, and you know it's in the future, but it's something to focus on. And I don't know where your next statement is, but is your next statement going to be, we shouldn't be talking about football at all because people are dying? Also, we should just all sit down and wallow in this gloom and depression and not think about better times ahead? Do you think they did that in the war? Do you think they all sat there in the bloody bunkers while they were being bombed, going, let's just sit here and think about the next bomb that might kill us, instead of thinking about tomorrow and winning the war and getting past it? You know, it's all about different opinion, but I think personally, you know, having a half glass full optimism on this is very important. Otherwise, what are we doing it for? What are we on lockdown for? What are we trying for if we're not trying to get back the things that we love? Is that not, if we're not trying to save the things that we love, you know? And ultimately, you are right, because we should be saving. The most important things is preservation of life and saving people's lives. But, you know, there's got to be a plan. This is why people like your Piers Morgans and everyone get on my tits, because it's just doom. But what's your plan? Like, oh, do this, do that. But what's your future plan? Like, can we not be optimistic? Roy Keane 08 says, this is when Lingard is useful for United's media because he can do a daily vlog. Yeah, we've said that before. I think Lingard's very important, isn't he, at the moment, for that sort of thing. And Mick Warren says, no, you've had your shout out there because I've clicked the wrong thing. I wanted to actually click Mick Warren. There he is. Positivity is everything. If football is back, it means we're winning this war, says Mick Warren. And would fully offer Sancho for Sanchez for Sancho, says Charles Adeswan. Why not cushion the deal with Dortmund? I don't think Dortmund are the sort of club that go for 31-year-old past it overpaid players. Dortmund have a totally different strategy, and they've had it for years. They look at players that are going to, you know, go on and have come in and make them a better team, but also have value to them. They wouldn't be looking to spend those. Alexis Sanchez is a massive problem, and it's not one I really want to talk about at the moment because it's a depressing problem in a footballing sense. He's massively overpaid, he's massively overrated, and who can afford him? This is Woodward and Mourinho's fault. This is not Ollie's fault. It's not our fault. We've been burdened by this ridiculously stupid transfer, and no matter how good Ed Woodward does in the future, and I think he's done some good things recently, that was a clown move. It was idiotic. It was stupid. It showed a total lack of knowledge of football to sign Alexis Sanchez on those terms. I was one of the people who wanted Sanchez. I wish I'd done a bit more research on him myself. I just assumed he was still this great player at Arsenal, which he hadn't been. He was on the decline already, if you look at his last few months at Arsenal. I wanted Sanchez, many of you did, but the terms we signed him on were thick. To make him the best paid player in the league, to give him a 4 or 5 year contract, absolutely stupid. And we did it to try and get one up on Man City. And what Man City did is dodge a massive bullet, and we took a bullet without a bullet vest. It was absolutely ridiculous. Really was. Good point coming in here. Let me just see if we can see it. It's from Zahar Shatter. He says, Do we really need Grealish if Pogba and Fernandes are there? Too many similar players with a ball-winning midfielder such as Ndidi required. Well, look, Zaha, I agree with you on that. I think that not Jadon Sancho. I think that Ndidi would be, and I said this last night, for me, Ndidi is the best CDM in the league this season, and it's proved. It's known, it's proven. But United are not looking at Ndidi. They're not looking at Thomas Partey. They're not looking at a centre defensive midfielder. United are looking at a Maddison or a Grealish. Now, what does that tell you? Because you're right. If Pogba stays and Bruno stays, why are you looking at a Grealish or a Maddison? Now, there's two theories I have on this. One, they're expecting Pogba to go, so they're looking at a replacement. Or two, they're not expecting Pogba to go, but they're going to use Pogba in a more withdrawn position, so they need another attacking midfielder to, back Bruno up. Because when you look at this, where's the evidence that Pogba is the attacking midfielder in this side? We haven't seen that. Before his injury, we played two holding midfielders. Opening game of the season, I always say that one, but there were others. Chelsea, we had McTominay and Pogba playing in the two holding positions that you now see Matic and Fred. That was Pogba and McTominay. And the attacking midfielder, which is where Bruno plays, I think in that game was Lingard, but it's been Pereira and it's been Mata. It's not been Pogba, even when he's been fit. So when you say, which is right, why would you sign Grealish? Because we've got Pogba and Bruno. But the point is, Pogba could be sold, but more likely Pogba will stay, but will not be played in the attacking midfield position. He'll play in the deeper role like he does for France with Kante. He's not going to play as the attacking midfielder. And therefore, that is probably why we're not looking for a CDM. And this is why we're looking for a Grealish. Because if Pogba stays, he'll play deeper and he'll play, and then we'll need another more attacking midfielder. That's my theory on it. I don't think we're looking at a CDM because I think that's where we're going to play Pogba. Does that get the best out of Paul Pogba? Not for me. I think Pogba's one of the best midfielders in the world when he's running with the ball, because he can run past somebody who's got the skill to do it. And not many people can do that. But I just feel that may be the case. Keep it in perspective, yes, but it's unfair to diminish how important sport can be in people's lives. It can unite people from different races and classes, etc. So Southpaw loves sport. And what do you think the key is to breaking down teams that sit back? Should we change formations as general? Well, yeah, it sort of feeds in with that last comment there. I think United need to stop playing with two holding midfielders against teams that are below fifth. Like, why do you play two holding midfielders at home to Burnley or at home to Bournemouth? You don't need to do that. It's a bit like playing five defenders. The minute you play five defenders, you're taking an attacker off the pitch. And it works. Soak up the pressure and hit on the break, but it's boring. If you want to entertain your fans and you want to win games, you've got to get as many people in and around the goal as you can. Two holding midfielders, one holding midfielder, you've got an extra attacking midfielder, or you've got an extra midfielder who's going to get in the box, which, to be fair, Fred and McTominay or Fred and Matic, how many times do you see them in the penalty box? They don't. They're around the edge of the box at best. They're around the centre circle mostly. If you've got one holding midfielder, you're allowing two midfielders, Bruno and another, to get in and around the box, which is what you want to see. I think that's what you've got to do. The more, as somebody, and many of you will have played defensive football as well, when you're playing in defence, it's very easy to mark everyone if you've got fewer numbers to mark. If you've got more numbers to mark, then there's more runs and there's more space that an attacking team can create. United need to go from conservative to risk football. Take more risks. Yes, you leave yourself a bit more open at the back, but so do Liverpool, so do Man City. And we might have beaten those teams, but they're miles ahead of us over the course of a season. I think United are very good at winning a one-off game against a Man City or a Spurs or not a Liverpool. We haven't beat them. We drew with them. We're good at getting a result on a one-off game, and we suddenly think, oh, we're better than Man City, but we're not. Because over a 38-game season, they're miles ahead of us because they play that way week in, week out, whereas we play conservative football. We've got to be more on the front foot. And I would hope to see that next season with the likes of a Sancho coming in, Rashford back, Pogba staying, maybe a Grealish coming in, Bruno a bit longer. No risk, no reward, says Mervyn P. I agree with you, mate. If Pogba wants to stay, he would say it. He's waiting to go, and he will. He will sign Kane. He is 27th, and he will be at his peak. Sancho and Grealish, he'll probably schooled at United. I thought you started off quite well until you said we're going to sign Harry Kane. So I don't think we're going to sell Paul Pogba based on that comment, mate, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens, won't we? Of course. Back again at 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And also tune in at 2 o'clock on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. First game is the second leg against Bayern Munich. If you don't like FIFA or anything like that, it doesn't really matter. It's competitive football. You don't know what the result's going to be. It's exciting, and you can join me for that then. And if you want to get your T-shirts, the link's in the video description. We ship worldwide. Bruno, Portuguese Magnifico, BF18. Link is in the video description. I'll speak to you all at 8 o'clock or on my stream at 2 o'clock on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.